Solution is not the new focus. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all of you. You are watching Conversation with a Coach brought to you live from the Facebook page of the School for Personal Leadership Development or SPLD. My name is Rahman from the Managers Network and I will be your host for the next 1 hour or so. Now, this is actually our maiden show, the show to share with you conversations with selected coaches out there. We hope to be able to share knowledge and skills and can help you to become a more effective leader at whatever you do in your leadership role. Now, when we talk about leaders, we don't just mean executives in formal corporate organizations or heads of government bodies. To us, leaders are everywhere and at all levels. There are leaders even in family units in the form of a father, mother, or even a father figure by one of the children who is entrusted to care for the whole family. In fact, you are also a leader to yourself as an individual. We hope the knowledge and skills that we share with you in Conversation with a Coach can be of value and can benefit you to become a more effective leader at whatever leadership role you are in. Now, as we're having this conversation here today, we'd like to invite you to ask questions, share opinion, participate by posting your comments in the comment section of the Facebook page. We'll do our best to address those questions and comments. All right, let's begin our conversation today. I'd like to welcome our very first coach that we are featuring in this show. The topic of our conversation is the solution is not the new focus. All of us are looking for solutions in our everyday life. Let's see how a solution focus can benefit leaders like you out there. Our guest is a Certified Solution Focused Coach, or CSFC, certified by the Canadian Council of Professional Certification, or CCPC. So I'm honored to welcome Certified Solution Focused Coach, Ms. Eileen Hui.
Hi, Eileen.
Hi, good morning, Jiraman. Great day to you.
Good morning. Great
Good
day.
morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. And I'm very thankful that I am so far so healthy. So far so good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yourself?
You mean the COVID thing?
Yes, the COVID is the biggest concern of everybody in terms of health and how it affects us mentally and emotionally also.
Yeah, exactly. Have you had your full vaccination?
My second one is coming up in about 10 days. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Where are you broadcasting from today?
The small city of Kuala Lumpur, since you've asked. Yeah, I'm in Malaysia. And how about yourself?
I'm also in KL, in Malaysia, not in KL, just out of KL, outside of KL,
Uh-huh.
in Kacang, actually, where I live.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I wonder
Thank you.
I wonder where our audience is watching from.
Yeah. They can hope they can type in the chat box or the comments box where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can read it from here. We can see their postings. This is from we are broadcasting to the Facebook live page of the School for Personal Leadership Development, SPLD.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You're ready to begin, Eileen?
Sure, of course. Looking forward.
Right.
Have been looking forward to this for many weeks.
Many weeks. All right.
Yeah.
We have more of this later. Okay.
Great.
All right. Maybe can you begin by just telling a little bit more about yourself, especially your coaching, practices and profession?
Sure. You introduced me as Eileen Hui, but my given name in my IC is Hui Eileen. So sometimes it's a bit confusing. Hui Eileen is my Chinese name, but Eileen can be spelled as EILEEN without the hyphen. So I go with that. A lot of my friends on Facebook know me as Elle. And yeah, even in my previous place of work, I am also known as Elle. I've got more than 20 years developing older teens and adults in education and also in the training and coaching industry. Because of that, because of my coaching passion, I'm also the Assistant Secretary of the Malaysian Association of Certified Coaches and also a member of the Solution Focus in Organization Malaysian chapter.
Oh, okay. I see. How long have you been into coaching actually?
I think in a way, even when I was teaching and even when I am teaching now and even when I am conducting training, I do use some coaching questions. And when I was working with employees, I had my own team members. That was when I also did a lot of coaching with them. I also did follow-up coaching with participants who attended my training.
Okay. So probably as a profession, it could be recent, but practicing the coaching skill, maybe, yeah, long time ago already.
You can say that, yes.
Okay, Eileen, before we begin, I can see Wong Lai Wan wishing us, everybody, good morning to all.
Good
That's
morning,
Wong Lai Wan,
Miss Wong Lai Wan. I hope you are well.
Yeah.
Thank you for dropping in on our live show.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lai Wan. All right, keep on posting some comments and questions if you have later on. Okay, before we begin, Eileen, would you have anything to tell the audience or ask the audience to consider something?
Before we start, perhaps a question for whoever is watching and including yourself, Encik Rahman, is what is your best hope from today's webinar? Perhaps you would like to post it in the comment box in the Facebook Live.
Okay. So what's your best hope for today's webinar? The question is on the screen there. Is that the question?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. We invite the folks to put your comments. What's your best hope for today's webinar? What's your expectation? What do you want to hear from Eileen, particularly? Okay. While the audiences are thinking about that, I'm going to be putting it in the chat box. Let's begin. Let me take this. Okay. I'd like to start this conversation today with a coach with this question. Because you come in as a solution-focused coach, I'd like to understand more. So, what exactly is solution-focused?
A lot of people ask this question: what is solution-focused? There's a story behind this solution-focused coaching approach. And the story goes back to psychotherapy. So the roots of psychotherapy the roots of solution-focused coaching conversations is in psychotherapy. There was this group of researchers who are also psychotherapists. And among this group of researchers are two prominent names, Steve DeShazer and Insoo Kim Berg. They were problem fixers. They had patients coming to them with psychological problems, and in those days, they tried to understand why the problems of their patients happened. It's not easy to understand why psychological problems happen. And the more they try to research and the more they try to understand how problems occur, they discover many times that problems of their patients don't always occur according to plan. In other words, there are times when the problems didn't happen. So what they decided to do was to shift from analyzing the cause of the psychological problem to what made the exceptions happen. What were the new behaviors that the patients exhibited to make that change? And that is how solution-focused brief therapy was born. So, solution-focused brief therapy is a much researched and experimented kind of therapy. And in the mid-1990s, these researched findings were used and applied to the world of coaching, management coaching, organizational coaching. Today, the solution-focused approach is used in largely the UK, different countries in the Europe, Switzerland, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and in Asia, solution focus is making inroads in Singapore and Taiwan. In Malaysia, our very own Petronas also has a few hundreds of solution-focused practitioners. Cik Rahman?
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioning about brief therapy. So is it right to say that it came from there, from brief therapy?
Solution-focused brief therapy is still used by psychotherapists today as one of the approaches in psychotherapy, in addition to other approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy. Yes. Yeah, but the techniques of solution-focused brief therapy is applied in solution-focused coaching.
Oh, solution-focused coaching in particular.
Yes.
I'd say
most of the questions, how we ask the questions, the words that we use to ask the questions are similar to what happens in solution-focused brief therapy. But in solution-focused brief therapy, there is the element of therapy. In solution-focused coaching, coaches cannot dispense with therapy.
Yeah, of course. Only therapists can do that, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so my second question would be, what's so special about solution focus?
You and I, when we have a conversation, it can be like a chit chat, right? When we are offline, we chit chat, and it's free and easy. There's no direction to where the chit chat can go. But according to Evan George of Brief International in the UK, solution-focused conversation is a disciplined, focused, and purposeful conversation. The person who comes to see the coach came bothered about something, came with something that is burdensome to what I call a coachee. What is important in that solution-focused conversation is that this person leaves the coaching conversation better, feeling better emotionally, and having better clarity of mind with clear actions, what to do next. So that is a key special aspect of solution-focused conversation. Solution-focused practitioners will focus on 3 areas. First, we always start off with the best hope of the conversation. Just like just now, the question posted was that, what is your best hope from this webinar? Assuming that, in this webinar, I am able to talk to you through the comments, what is your best hope? The second focus, after looking at best hopes, is for the person to describe that best hope in as much detail as possible. When you are able to describe how that best hope looks like, you're able to see how it affects you emotionally, how it affects the people around you. How is your own interaction with the people that are important to you affected? We also examine how people see you when there are differences in the behavior. And the third thing that we focus upon is what do you notice that is already happening? What are the changes that are towards the future that are already happening? Perhaps the person did not realize it, but when this conversation is conducted between a coach and a coachee using solution focus, the coachee will begin to notice elements of successful parts of the best hope already occurring. So that's what is more special about solution-focused conversations.
Okay, I can see that the justification for using the word focus already here. It's like looking to the future, kind of this is the best that can happen, and what said now it was describing it, and then now noticing if it's happening now. So that's the focus. Is that correct?
Yes, you're right.
Oh, okay. Fine, good. Before we move on to the next question, I just want to go to the chat. Is there any comments? Okay, there's one comment by Laiwan, managing upwards communication. Would you understand that, or you want Laiwan to elaborate on that?
Managing, I would think that this question, if I believe in the flow, is that her best hope from today's webinar, how to how to manage upward communication, how to communicate with superiors and superiors. I believe we can take this question when we look at how it benefits leaders, shall we? Because this is one of her best hopes, and yeah.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to the third question about solution focused, particularly solution focused conversation. Who can actually be using solution focus?
Interestingly, just last Friday, I returned from 4 corners of the world: London, New York, Sydney, and Singapore. That was
you actually travel?
I spent 24 hours watching a live, attending a live conference, a global conference that was beamed and hosted in these four cities. Yeah, London, New York, Sydney, and Singapore. So there were hosts in these 4 cities. It was a global conference of solution-focused practitioners. And these practitioners who use solution focus, they used it in education. In the UK, there was a case study of how solution focus was chosen as an approach to build up a culture in a school so that they can help to bring up the mental wellness amongst the students, amongst the teachers. So the solution focused conversation was taught to the students, the teachers, the parents, even the school administrators, the school management. So all stakeholders were taught the solution focused approach. And what they realized was that in a few, in a few months, right, the level of positivity, a level of enthusiasm amongst the parents and the students were elevated. So that's just one case study of how solution focus is used in education. It's also used in social work in the UK. In South Africa, as mentioned, because of its roots in psychotherapy, there are actually psychotherapists who still use the solution focused brief therapy. But let me give you an example that is closer to home. Let's say there are school leavers in Malaysia, and they may be wondering what they should study after SPM, STPM, whatever they are doing now. What should they be studying? Some school leavers may be curious to know. They're not sure what they should be doing next. Okay, so this is a conversation that the school leaver can have with himself or herself. The first question to ask is, when you are at your best self, how does it look like? When you are your best self as a student, as a daughter or son, as a badminton player, as a friend, how does it look like? If the school leaver has some difficulty to answer that question, think about it this way. Think to yourself, let me think of maybe one small example of when I am my best self as a daughter, for example. Perhaps there was one night you slept early and you didn't have to be scolded by your parents, your mother. So that was your best self. Another example, maybe 2 days ago, you willingly helped to cook a dish without your mother nagging you. So these are questions that you can ask. That's the first question. Second question. Before I go to the second question, this first question actually helps us to appreciate ourselves. So school leavers, remember A. I'm going to give you an acronym, ADP. A stands for appreciate yourself. The second letter I like to leave you with is D, dream. What is your dream? Why is that dream important to you? Question 3. Tell me when a little bit of your dream might have already occurred. Going back to the example of cooking just now, perhaps, when you were cooking, helping out your mom, you didn't have enough ingredients, but you managed to replace it with something else that has a similar flavor. So that is something that has already happened. So the second letter is dream. Okay. The next question is, what did you enjoy most about the process? When you answer this question, it tells you about your skills, your interests, your strengths. Yeah. And the last question for now is, what is one thing you have yet to explore? So this last question is P, possibilities, exploring possibilities. So school leavers, if you're wondering what you should study next, what you should be doing in your future, remember A, appreciate yourself, D, dream, 3, P, exploring possibilities. In case there are parents who have children who are able to come to them and ask them, Pa, what should I study? I'm not sure what I should study. You can also apply those questions to that conversation between you as a parent and your child, whether the child is your son or daughter, or even your nieces and nephews. Whoever comes to you as a role model, you can use those questions to have that conversation with the younger person. For parents though, I'd like to leave you with one acronym, NESCAR. NESCAR stands for notice the exceptions and the small changes that move in the right direction in that young person. Compliment and acknowledge those small changes that are moving in the right direction and guide towards resources. Essentially, NESCAR covers all the 6 questions. The reason why I think it's better for parents to use NESCAR is that it's better for parents to tell their children what positive behaviors they have noticed about their children. For example, the mother just now, the mother who's noticed that her daughter slept early, it's better for the parent to say, wow, daughter, I'm so glad that you slept early last night and you have shown responsibility to take care of your mental wellness as well as being more alert. So that is acknowledging what the child has done, acknowledging that the child slept early. And it also shows that you have noticed the exceptional time when the child did not sleep late. So pick up on these small changes. And the reason why it should be said to these young people is there are young people that I work with who have hinted to me that they don't get appreciated for the small good things that they have done, the small positive behaviors that they have shown. So in order to raise our young people's self-esteem, it's so important for us adults to tell them what we've noticed that they've done well. So parents, remember NESCAR, and school leavers remember ADP. And you remember ADP and NESCAR? Essentially, you have started to practice solution-focused conversations within yourself and also with another party that is important to you.
Wow. So it's for parents, also for children,
Yes,
for the school leavers, particularly the example you're using.
yes.
No, as you are talking, it reminded me about how I was doing things, or even I was treated in the way that it's always, people are always looking for mistakes,
Mm,
for weaknesses,
mhm,
what went wrong, right? That's like naturally doing it. I mean, I was doing it as a leader, as a boss, maybe as a parent also. So you look for mistakes and you harp on that. But this is like moving to another, look for what went well.
mhm.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is that the way it should be done?
Yes, it is counterintuitive. In the story of Steve Lishazer and Insoo Kim Berg and the group of researchers that they work with, even in psychotherapies in the past, we were so ingrained with looking for causes, looking for what went wrong. We want to fix problem by looking for faults, looking for errors, looking for mistakes. We want to correct mistakes. But this solution focus is goes against our grain of looking for mistakes. It is because we are going against the grain, it is quite challenging to look for good things, to look for correct actions, But interestingly, when I taught problem solving, there is a one step actually that we should be documenting successful steps too, not just correcting errors, taking corrective actions, but documenting successful steps so that we can replicate those successful steps. So we should build on that actually.
But you mentioned problem solving, Eileen. Sorry, I come in like that. I mean, problem solving. If I remember my days, we always thought go and look for the root cause of the problem.
Okay.
So we spend a lot of time, the Japanese way. If I can share five whys.
Yes.
Why and then why and then why until you reach the root cause, right? Then you work on the root cause and come up with a solution. Yes. This is like, I don't know, is it correct to say this is like, forget about the root cause, just look what can happen. What are the possibilities? Is this the way we should be doing it?
Well, root cause analysis works when things are fixed, when the situation, the environment is fixed, like in a factory environment, in a machine environment, everything is fixed. Okay, you can do root cause analysis. You can fix the problem. Just like a car. A car breaks down. You want to find out which part of the car, it broke down. Then, once you've detected that component is faulty, is worn out, you change that component. You restart the car can run. Everything is fixed and structured. But in the VUCA world today, right, in the world that we are living today, especially in this pandemic environment, the world is volatile, it's uncertain. There are so many uncertainties happening. People do not know whether they will still have a job. Sometimes it's very hard for management, I believe, to make decisions because they are in lockdown. They don't know when the lockdown or when our SOPs may change, whether they can change anything. Then you have complex environment where there are so many layers, so many factors that have to be taken into account. And many times, the world where we live in now is quite ambiguous. So when you have a VUCA world, and we don't live in a factory environment, a possibility to try is using the solution focus. Yeah. I think we have a video to show that differentiates the logic between using problem solving and solution focus or solution building. The video is a video that is produced by Dr. Mark McGough. He is one of the pioneers of taking solution-focused conversation to the world of organizations. And yeah, what I said just now about us working and living in a VUCA world is where the world changes happen constantly. In this 1.5 years is no more the same as what we were used to. So if we keep doing the same thing and it doesn't seem to work, doesn't it make sense to try something different?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Okay. Let's see whether the video will explain it as well as I have.
All right, I think it's ready to play.
Okay, sure.
Hi there, it's Mark McCurgo here from the Centre for Solutions Focus at Work with this video on solution building or problem solving, choosing from 2 different logics. Let's think about the world of work and organisation and people. Is your image of that world basically like the thing on the left, a well-oiled machine, static, predictable, controllable and adjustable in fine detail? Or is it like the image on the right, the guy in the kayak swirling, moving and unpredictable? We have a little bit of influence with our paddles, but there are other forces changing all the time. Well, if the thing you're working with is like the image on the left, I suggest you do problem solving. If, however, it's like the image on the right, then it might be trying to try the fantastic alternative logic of solution building. Let's have a look at these 2 logics in detail then. In problem solving, we have to first of all diagnose the problem, of course, examine the problem, diagnose it, and then discover the cause of the problem. And then, having discovered the cause of the problem, we can address the weaknesses that underlie the problem and lead to it, and finally, when we really know what's going on, make a detailed action plan to solve the problem. Well, in solution building, you don't do any of that at all. There's a whole set of other things to do, starting with describing what you want instead. Rather than the cause of the problem, what do you want instead? Then we have discovering what's working already. We have finding the strengths of the people and the processes that are helping that to work. And then we have taking small steps to build on what's working to build the solution. And this can be amazingly effective at building progress rapidly in really tough situations where things are changing all the time. In solutions focus, the underlying logic is about change is happening all the time, therefore the simple way to change is to find useful change already happening and amplify it.
So, when you watch this video, what comes to your mind, Encik Rahman? Because you brought up about root cause analysis.
Yeah, seems like you're not so focused on looking for the root cause. You just look out for what's working. Is that correct? You just look out for what's working.
You look out for what is working and what is the future that is perfect for you, rather than trying to fix something that is hard to fix.
That brings me to the question,
Yes.
sorry, brings me to the question about if, I don't know whether this can be possible, if nothing is working.
If nothing is working, could you complete your question, please?
Well, we don't want to look for the root cause of the problem, but look out for what is working, even one small thing that's working, and then work on that.
Yes.
Right? But
Yes.
what happens if there's we can't seem to find, maybe something is working, but we can't seem to find that something which is working at that moment? What do we do?
Interestingly, again, in that global conference I attended, the Center for Solution-Focused Research is an early findings. It hasn't actually been fully published yet. They use EEG, electroencephalogram, to detect electrical workings in our brain. When the patient, not the patient, the test subject, the research subject is wired up with all those EEG elements, they can actually see that when they are asked the solution-focused questions, even when they can't find what's good that's happening, they can see the right-hand side, the frontal right-hand side of the brain showing alpha waves. It means it's very active. In other words, the test subject is actually thinking very hard. It's just that at that moment when the question is asked, the answer has not come up to the surface for his realization yet. So it takes time to bring this up. Another thing that we coaches can do is we like to use scaling questions on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you feel totally crappy about this action, and 10 being very confident about this action. Where are you right now? Sometimes we compare, we ask the person talking to us, think about what you are able to do today compared to 6 months ago, or 9 months ago, or 12 months ago. So slowly, the patient who's talking, not the patient, the person who is talking to us, slowly, the person will be able to say, hey, you know, I've never done a video in my life because I never had to produce videos at work. At that time, there was no pandemic. Everything was in person, was live. But now, I know how to produce my own video. So my next question would be, what does that tell you about yourself?
That means there's the potential is there. It's only looking out for it and making it happen.
Yes. That's why a leader coach or whoever who is leading that conversation has to ask questions that really help the person to think.
Okay. Now that you mentioned about leaders and coaches, could you share with us what's in need for leaders and coaches who practices and apply solution focus?
Allow me to perhaps address leaders separately from coaches or leader coaches. Okay.
Okay.
For leaders that are in business organizations as well as in non-formal organizations like a family unit, like an organization where works on preventing suicide, for example. Support groups for people who have survived domestic abuse. When solution-focused conversations are used, you demonstrate a lot of empathy. There is so much need to be empathetic, especially today, especially when we are living in this pandemic-ridden world. There are so many people suffering, and we need to show the empathy and compassion to the people who are having a lot of distress in their lives. Jan Fraser, the CEO of Citi, said in a posting in LinkedIn on 2nd of August this year, she said, empathy is not a weakness. Empathy is a business age. When your employees are able to put themselves in the customer's shoes, your organization becomes more customer-centric. When you're customer-centric, you are more responsive, you can be more agile. And these three elements are the marks of excellence. That's one benefit for people who want to demonstrate empathy, practice solution-focused conversations. As I said just now, coaches ask a lot of questions. When a question is posed to the person who is talking to the coach, and that person says, I've never thought of it that way before. That is when the coachee has reached an aha moment. That is when the right-hand side of the brain is working very actively and the person is actually thinking very hard. The thinking is developing. The person's creativity level is elevated. So when you ask solution-focused questions, the leader is actually developing the employee. In order to ask on-point questions, the leader has to listen actively, listen reflectively. Together with summarizing and paraphrasing, that is the entire package of communicating effectively. A key competency for leaders is open communication. When you're able to have this kind of communication, you listen to your employees, you ask pertinent and spot-on questions, you're able to summarize, to demonstrate to your employee that I've heard you and I understand what you've said. You are demonstrating a great leadership competency to the people who work with you, who work around you, and who through their work support you. Employees want the leaders to create a feeling of succeeding and failing together. In being agile, we need to allow our staff to fail fast, yet to know what they have done well, even though they were failing in their trial. But at the same time, the employee wants to know that you support them when they succeed. So this is where solution-focused conversation comes in at the right moment, that you support the successful activities, the successful behaviors that they have shown. Thirdly, the employee wants to be developed. In order to know what the employee the direction in which the employee wants to go in his or her career, use solution-focused conversations to understand your employee and to explore options with the employee. So when the leader is able to do that, the leader is able to demonstrate a lot of leadership competencies. Here, perhaps it would be a good time to address the question by Wong Lai Wan, who says that her best hope from this webinar is to manage upward communication. It is my belief that we can't change people. The only person I can change is myself. The thing for me is, how do I change the way I communicate with my superior or my team members who work with me, but perhaps they might be of a different level? What would I need to say differently to my superior or my team members? If I understand how my superior thinks, how am I going to present according to what he wants? So for me, in working with so many superiors, I try to understand their style first, and I adapt my own style to them. If there are further questions from Ms. Wong Lai Wan, you might want to comment.
Not
or
yet.
Would you like to come into the studio to have a chat? But that is depending on the producer of this show.
Yeah, I would love to have her here, but the time is also a little bit limited.
Oh, okay.
It's almost 11 here.
Yes.
What about the coaches? You want to say something about coaches?
Oh, the coaches. Okay, for coaches, usually coaches use the well-worn model of GROW. GROW was popularized by Sir John Whitmore, and it's a lot used in performance improvement, goal setting, and problem solving. Okay. The G in GROW stands for goals. R stands for reality. O stands for option, and W stands for will. In solution focus, we also want to look at best hopes. The words that are used in solution focus in examining goal is best hopes. What's the best hope from our conversation today? What's the outcome that is desired? For reality, in GROW, they look at current situation and internal and external obstacles. In solution focus, we prefer to focus on the exceptions, to look at the exceptions when things already went well. In options, the coach looks at possibilities, resources, and strengths. In solution focus, when we look at strengths, we look at past and present successes. We look at internal and external resources. Internal resources would be your characteristics, your personal qualities, and external resources are people who are able to help you, develop a new skill, perhaps. Perhaps the leader coach can be an external resource, someone who is an expert at something that you have yet to know. That is an external resource. And will, in GROW, looks at actions and accountabilities. In solution focus, we don't look at action plan. We prefer to look at small steps that the coachee can experiment with. There's a higher possibility of success because they are doing things that are based on their strengths. And when that small steps are successful, it can be amplified to greater effect. When the person is able to take these small steps successfully over and over again, optimism and hope is built without even telling the person to have hope. You will have that hope inside of you. So that's the difference between solution-focused coaching conversations and other forms of coaching methods.
Thanks, Eileen. That's a lot of things there. Unfortunately, the time is about up. I need to ask you the last question now.
Okay.
The last question that I have for you is how do we learn more? How do we find out more about solution focus?
Okay, thank you for that question. Well, incidentally, I've put up a short video on solution-focused conversation in the School of Personal Leadership Development page. When the QR code comes up, you can scan the QR code and it will take you directly to that solution-focused conversation page where you can log in and watch the video. It's free as at now. Just watch the video, and in that video, you will see 2 examples how to carry out conversations with 2 different people. If a person is thinking of personal coaching, you can contact me in my Facebook page, facebook.com/Eileen Coach, the E and C in capital letters. You can contact me directly there. My phone number, email address are all there. And also facebook.com/school4PLD. That's how you can contact me too if you want to have one-to-one personal coaching. For people who might want to look for training for their organizations or company, small, medium, big, do write about your training request to admin@themanagersnetwork.com. Also, at the same time, I'm excited to tell you that I'm in the process of planning and working out a new video lesson that will be on demand also, and we will place it in the School for Personal Leadership Development page. And when it's up there, we will post it in our Facebook page. Cik Rahman?
Thank you. Yeah, I hope the audience can go to those resources and find out more. Remember, you opened just now with a question. What are your hopes for this webinar? Probably you want to close with another question.
Okay. A question perhaps to you and our audience, if they are not too shy to comment, is after this 1 hour, what's your realized hope? What's your realized hope from the webinar today?
All right, let's see if there are comments from the audience. Not yet, not coming in yet. But as far as I'm concerned, personally, I wanted to find out about, as a coach, as a professional coach, I'm looking out for what solution focus can offer me. I can see that it is like an additional tool that I can use to enhance my coaching. Because now it's like looking out for what's working, rather than look for the problems and trying to look for the root cause. And it could be a long way around things. I don't know, but at least now that's another tool that I can be working on, looking at to be used in my coaching profession. That's what for me. Yeah.
I'm glad that I was able to prompt you to perhaps examine more deeply about the solution-focused conversation as an additional tool in your repertoire of questions. Cik Rahman, thank you for your feedback, for sharing with me your realized hope today.
Yeah, thank you for participating in this conversation with the coach, which we hope to be able to do it more frequent in the future. So before we end, do you have anything else to say, Eileen?
I am very honored to be your first guest today in this series of Conversation with a Coach. Well, you know, it was an enjoyable experience, and I hope that I will get invited back again.
Sure, definitely. It's our pleasure to have you here and to have you again in the future very soon. So, all right, thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for being here. We hope you have gained a little bit from here. We will be having more of these conversations in the future. So hopefully you keep in touch with the School for Personal Leadership Development. Follow us, and then we can have more of this, and go to the school online platform and enroll into that free program and some more programs that we'll be putting up later on. So hope to see you again. Take care.